Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here. Welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep and put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
Tomorrow, on Tuesday, the 4th of March, President Trump, the 47th president, will go before a joint session of Congress to speak about this incredible first, 40 days that we've seen, this breakneck pace. And I'm sure talk about the initiatives going forward. And the stance that the Democrats are already taking is, well, the same old stance: resistance. And you just kind of have to ask yourself again and again and again, can they really be that stuck on stupid? Can they really have not gotten the memo of November the 5th? They're still talking about, enriching billionaires. What, like George Soros, Tom Steyer, all the other billionaires on the left that made sure that Kamala Harris had like $1 billion of campaign cash. The hand-selected person, not democratically selected nominee of the Democrats. I thought they were all about democracy. I guess when it comes to them, they're not. Or when it comes to supporting a tyrant, let's be very honest. If Donald Trump were to establish martial law, if Donald Trump were to suspend elections so that he could just stay president ad nauseum, ad infinitum, they would be going apoplectic. But yet, that's what Vladimir Zelensky has done in Ukraine. Now, look, I'm the first person that says I do not believe that any sovereign nation should be invaded. But there's a way to carry yourself and to honor the rule of law and your nation's constitution. And there's a way also to make sure that you are respecting your quote unquote number one benefactor that is allowing you to be in a position of standing up for your national sovereignty. Although the Democrats don't care about our own national sovereignty, but they're happy to send hundreds of billions of dollars over to Ukraine. And so, again, this whole thing about resistance. We just had a little story from the New York Post that said Vladimir Zelensky, before he went over to meet with Donald Trump, he met with Democrats on Capitol Hill. Democrats who told him to not accept this deal, this mineral deal with Donald Trump. And understand this, when you are talking about this economic opportunity for Ukraine, that is a national security opportunity and agreement. So I don't understand what Vladimir Zelensky was talking about. We need to have a security agreement. No, what he came here wanted is just write me another check. See, there have been 3 different opportunities for him to sign this minerals deal. Scott Bessent went to Ukraine, the Treasury Secretary. He didn't do it there. In Munich at the security conference, J.D. Vance was there, had the agreement. He didn't do it there. And so he decided to come here to the United States of America and grandstand. And now Democrats are out there talking about how he's been picked on and how he is not respected. Well, when you're writing a check, you're the one that should be respected. And that spigot is going to be turned off. If you want to talk about how we make this thing happen, here, let's do something that is economically beneficial, not just to the United States of America, but also to the people in Ukraine. And when you have your own ambassador putting their head in their hands. I think that picture shows that Zelensky did not have the cards, as President Trump said. But Zelensky was part of the resistance. And so therefore, the progressive socialists, leftists, these people that embrace this type of leadership when it benefits them, suspending elections and continuing on, instituting martial law, that's what they prefer. So I'm sure that there'll be some talk about that. But what really, unnerves me is the unrighteous indignation of the progressive socialist leftists, the Democrat Party. Now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump is hurting people with these policies of trying to establish constitutional governance for the federal government. Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution lists 18 duties, responsibilities, jurisdictions, purviews, enumerated powers of the federal government. 18 things. The federal government has gotten so out of control. And yes, we're peeling the onion back and finding all this fraud, waste, and abuse. Taxpayer dollars going to things that have nothing to do with protecting the American people, our safety, our security, our interests. It just goes toward leftist ideological agendas. And now all of a sudden, when the temple of the false god of government is being dismantled, the high priests and priestesses of the Democrat Party are not happy about that. You're hurting people. These government employees. First and foremost, how does a district judge all of a sudden tell the President of the United States of America what he can do with the executive branch? When you go to the Constitution, Article 2 in the Constitution, very first sentence of Article 2 in the Constitution of the United States of America said, the executive power is vested in the President of the United States of America. So the very first sentence says that the power to do with the executive branch goes to the President of the United States of America. That's Donald Trump. So for some district judge to come out and say, you can't fire people in the executive branch, you can't go in and say you want to spend less money than what has been appropriated. I think we all want you to spend less money than what the Congress has appropriated to. I think that a lot of members of Congress are embarrassed because all of these things are coming out, and based upon the system of checks and balances, they're supposed to have committees of oversight, committees of jurisdiction over the executive branch. What have they been doing? Obviously nothing, but enriching themselves. So again, everyone's wanting us to be all sad-faced for federal government employees, many of whom have said, I don't want to go to work. So you got empty buildings sitting up there. We're the ones that pay these individuals to go and do work. And now they're saying, we don't want to go into work. We don't have to go into work. The Biden administration, I think it was the Social Security Administration, signed a 5-year contract saying that they don't have to go into work. Are you kidding me? So now we're hurting them because we want them to go on. Now we're hurting them because we're looking at all of these programs that we don't need this. How does that benefit the American people? So where was all of these district judges when Joe Biden was violating the Constitution, flat out? The Supreme Court tells Joe Biden, you cannot relieve college student loan debt. Even Nancy Pelosi said that. He doesn't have the executive power. He doesn't have the constitutional power, the enumerated power to do that. But he did it anyhow. Where are the district judges that the left are running to now, saying that, Joe, you can't do that? The Supreme Court is already, the highest court in the land said you cannot relieve college student loan debt. Where were these district judges when 8,000 to 10,000 U.S. servicemen and women were kicked out of the military because they refused to take a shot. Or when Joe Biden threatened federal government employees, you don't take the shot, I'll fire you. He doesn't have the constitutional power to tell people what will be injected in their bodies. Oh, that's right. When they're in charge, they can do whatever the Sam Hill they want. All of a sudden, I guess he is vested with executive power to tell people to get a shot. But no one cared about those 8,000 to 10,000 troops. No one cared about, well, what happens with their families? All of a sudden, people that are 18 years in, a couple of years away from retirement, they lose all their benefits because they won't follow an unconstitutional, unlawful, immoral, and unethical order. I mean, the hypocrisy is laughable if it were not so serious. I mean, is the left? Where were these district judges that they're running to bring lawsuits against the Trump administration? Where were these district judges when Biden and Harris violated Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, also known as the Guarantee Clause, which says two things: that the federal government is supposed to provide a Republican form of government, not a Republican Party, a Republican form of government, because America is a constitutional republic. And also, they're supposed to protect every state in the union from invasion. Show me in the Constitution where it says that the executive branch, the President of the United States of America, has the enumerated power to grant parole to people that are here illegally, allowing them to come into our country. He doesn't have that. Creating an app. Oh, yeah, just, come on into America and send aircraft to places and fly people in, bypassing Customs and Border Patrol. I mean, look, I've a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, former member of Congress, former chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. If I go to another country and then come back to the United States of America, I don't get to bypass Customs and Border Patrol. I don't get to bypass Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. I got to go through that checkpoint. They got to, okay, so you left on this day. We got record of you flying out. You went to France, you went to wherever, and now you're coming back. So how can this guy, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, just kind of wave a magic wand? And where are these district judges? Where are the left in? Talking about executive powers. It's sickening when you really think about it. How these people believe that they can go out and do whatever they want and act with complete and utter impunity. When you're there and you're asking Pam Bondi, are you going to go along with the president and allow him to use the Department of Justice to go after political opposition? I would have, I'm kind of a, indignant guy. I would have looked at whatever senator asked Pam Bondi that question, if that had been me sitting there in a senatorial hearing. I said, you mean like what Joe Biden had Merrick Garland doing? See, they believe that they can't be touched. They believe that their sacred cow of government cannot be harmed. And so now all of a sudden, again, the same old thing. You're going to hurt people. Children are going to starve. What children are starving? That's always their fallback. Children are going to starve. You're giving money to billionaires. You're going to destroy Social Security is destroying itself. And now we find out, thanks to Elon Musk and his crew, we got people, 150 years of age. Maybe they're not receiving checks, but why are they still on the rolls? Which means that someone could, use that identification to be able to get some type of compensation. The fraud in Medicaid, we know, is off the charts. But yet they want to expand things. They want more people. Medicare for all. I'm 64. I'll go on Medicare in a year. Is it really going to be there for my daughters 30 some odd years from now? Not on this path that we're on. So it just is amazing to me that Donald Trump is there. Donald Trump, without a doubt, is doing the same thing that every single president before has said. We're going to reduce the fraud, waste, and abuse of government. We're going to right size government. And they're upset about it. You got to resist this. A Department of Defense with a budget of some $858 billion that has not passed an audit in 7 years, and that's okay? Sending American taxpayer dollars to countries for LGBTQIA voter registration or, drag shows in South America, that's okay? You gotta be kidding me. How many NGOs were lined up under USAID? And you want me to believe that there was no corruption in there? You got to be kidding me. So what would I say to the Trump administration? I would say do an address to the American people and say, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. If someone can show me where I'm doing something that is unconstitutional, please feel free. But going out and creating 95 or however many different lawsuits against me, just like 94 or whatever different indictments against me when I was a candidate, talking about going after your political opposition. I'm not going to allow you guys to use the lawfare thing anymore. Either I am the chief executive and executive power is vested in me as the president of the United States of America, or I'm not. Donald Trump is not going up there on Capitol Hill and firing staffers on Capitol Hill. He's not messing with the legislative branch. He's not messing with the judicial branch. He is looking at his purview. Article 2, the executive branch. And he's saying that we're going to look at their task and purpose. Department of Education has not been around forever. Department of Education was broken out from health, education, and welfare. We took one agency and created three during the Carter administration. And why did we create the Department of Education? Because the teachers' unions wanted their own department. And what has happened to the standards of education in the United States of America? I think that initially the Department of Education's budget was like $18.1 billion. Now it's over $80 billion. What's the return on that investment? How many buildings does the Department of Education have in Washington, D.C.? How many of them even have people in it? And I know Maxine Waters standing outside wanting to get into the Department of Education. Just ask a simple question. What's the constitutional authority of the federal government to be involved in the issue of education? It's not in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, Ms. Waters. You're a member of the House of Representatives. Article 1, dictates the purviews of enumerated powers and duties of the legislative branch, which is the most powerful branch in our three branches of government. What has been your oversight over these agencies? I would just press on, President Trump. Don't let these people stonewall you. Don't let these people stymie you. I don't care what the Washington Post or the New York Times, LA Times, all of these leftist propaganda rags. I don't care what CNN says or MSNBC. Just pull out your Constitution and read and ask the question. Because teachers' unions are the reason why we have a Department of Education. Not because it's a constitutional mandated duty of the federal government. It's a local level. So it's going to be very interesting. His address tomorrow night. And already they've chosen some Democrat member of Congress. All she's going to do is talk about resist. And this is how Donald Trump is hurting the American people. Not the inflation that was created during Joe Biden. Egg prices, well, you go out and you kill, 3 to 4 million chickens? Egg price is going to go up. That happened under the Biden administration. You go out and you attack our oil and gas industry, energy prices going to go up. That gets pushed on the consumer. You open up the border so that tens of millions of people can come into the country illegally, and now you say that you want to protect criminal, illegal immigrants, murderers, rapists, to include child rapists and child predators. You want to protect them, people that assault American women, Democrats that voted against the Laken Riley Act, and now you're talking about hurting people? I don't know. I really do think that the only people that follow the party of the jackass are jackasses. And that's their symbol. I'm just speaking fact. But Donald Trump, stand tall. Do what the American people elected you to do. And don't get bogged down in the mire, in the swamp. Be steadfast and loyal to the Constitution of the United States of America and the American people. And oh, by the way, Mr. President, I think you should show up in Lexington, Massachusetts on April the 19th, the 250th anniversary of the shot that was fired that started the American Revolution. Because the Democrats, they're not going to want to show up because they would rather see us disarmed than armed.
Before they burn it down.